Shalom. I just want to continue this topic regarding grace and the Laver and Nisa, which is part of Kitisa, which has to do with lift up the head, the training of the priesthood, and forgiveness. Now, I mentioned the one side of the coin, which is the person committing the sin, the person being desperate for forgiveness, and the grace that is extended to that person through the Laver that will give access to the brazen altar, that will give access to the holy place and everything within, as part of the transformation and elevation process of the soul, which Yahweh extends to all sinners within all nations. Now I want to just talk about the other side of the coin, the other side. So what is, if you think about it, what is the worst sin anyone can ever commit that will keep you from entering the kingdom? Now this comes from the words of our Master Yeshua Mashiach. He said, if you cannot forget, or if you do not forgive anyone their sin, my Father cannot forgive you. And forgiveness is about being separated from your sin and be able to be elevated to enter into the presence of Yahweh and becoming echad with Him, back to the Garden of Eden. So with that said, it implies that unforgiveness is the greatest sin most people commit, and they don't even know it. They don't think it is the greatest sin that can keep you from entering the kingdom. Now, forgiveness is the greatest gift we can receive from Yahweh, because we all are in desperate need of His forgiveness, which is associated with salvation, restoration, and unification. Without forgiveness, and forgiveness is extended through the process or the mechanism of grace. It's not something you take. It's something that's extended to you that you receive. So grace is not something you demand. Grace is something you understand. And then you activate forgiveness. And now we learn the other side on how can I activate Yahweh's forgiveness in my life. One of the mechanisms is to forgive others. Number one, highest priority. Because if you don't do that, you cannot receive His gift of grace. That's period. End of the story. So think about it. Has anyone committed a sin that you cannot forgive that person because it's the worst sin ever? Can you think about anyone? If that is the case, and you still struggle to forgive that person, you need to understand, I'm going to make it very clear, that Yahweh cannot forgive you unless you forgive that person. Lest you die, you need to access the altar of grace. You need to understand the truth of the Laver. And I'm standing at the Laver speaking the word of Yahweh, not my own opinion, coming from the words of the Master Yeshua Mashiach. This is very serious. We need to understand, we need to forgive every single person on a daily basis in order to walk in the grace of Yahweh. How do I test whether I got unforgiveness in my life? Well, think of anyone that irritates you, that offended you, that you hate. That's the most extreme one. And the most subtle one is still guilty of that same sin. Just someone who irritates you. I despise that person. Or I don't like that person. I think that person is this or that. If you can't say anything good about a person, that means that you despise that person. And if you do that, it means that you took offense in something that person did, and you haven't forgiven that person. Even that most subtle case. is a case of unforgiveness. Now, the reason this is a very, very strong topic on my heart is because we are entering into the season of Passover. Passover is about the blood of the Lamb, accessing the blood of the Lamb, having the blood of the Lamb on your doorpost of your life, your household. And if you do not forgive or cannot forgive anyone else, Yeshua's blood is useless, because you cannot access His grace, because you choose not to forgive. Now, forgiveness is a choice, it's not an emotion. You have to make a decision to forgive, and then the emotion will follow. You might still feel upset, you might still feel hard done by or whatever, but speak it out loud. I forgive this person, I release them in the name of Yeshua, so that I can activate Yahweh's grace in my life, because I am a sinner as well. And I need Yahweh's grace and Yahweh's forgiveness desperately, lest I die spiritually. So we need to understand that concept in order to walk in the character of Mashiach. Now, the other thing I want to highlight here, I know people personally who has forgiven people for the worst sin ever. Now, I've got the highest respect for those people, because they are the people that embodies the character of Yahweh in the physical, and I've got the privilege to know them. And that is something so beautiful to see. Someone who can forgive regardless. Unconditionally, forgiveness is unconditional love. And that is the character of the Father, and that is the character of Mashiach. And I just want to thank everyone who's come to that point, that can forgive people regardless of what was being done to them, and they can still walk in the character of Yahweh and hold up His standard, stand on His truth, and still have a loving, kind heart and share love and goodness with anyone they meet. Now, I know people like that, and my lovely wife is one of them. So I'm privileged to know her, and I know what Yahweh's character is like. I see it in her every day. So I just want to leave you with those thoughts. Shalom.